And I know I'm older, so I have less patience, but guys, we should be exhausting ourselves by the end of each day doing whatever it is that we can. And I'm not saying every day is going to be a good day, but if you have some privilege, if you have access, if you have a reading voice, if you can at least talk to some people about these, you just plant the seed, you know what I mean? I just feel like our only job in the imperial core is to weaken this, so that all the benefits that we've been receiving from our comrades in the global south, they can finally have a chance, and maybe they can actually do a strike, maybe they can actually fight back. It's like they don't even have that option. Like, yes, it sucks here, yes, I'm not going to say that Americans don't have it hard and whatever, but we are the ones benefiting, so it's the least we can do. Okay, so I'm going to keep reading. Okay. There are no wealthy men on death row, and so few in the general prison population that we can discount them altogether. Imprisonment is an aspect of class struggle from the outset. It is the creation of a closed society which attempts to isolate those individuals who disregard the structures of a hypocritical establishment, as well as those who attempt to challenge it on a mass basis. Throughout its history, the United States has used its prisons to suppress any organized efforts to challenge its legitimacy, from its attempts to break up the early Working Men's Benevolent Association to the banning of the Communist Party during what I regard as the fascist takeover of this country, to the attempts to destroy the Black Panther Party. The hypocrisy of American fascism forces it to conceal its attack on political offenders by the legal fiction of conspiracy laws and highly sophisticated frame-ups. The masses must be taught to understand the true function of prisons. Why do they exist in such numbers? What is the real underlying economic motive of crime and the official definition of types of offenders or victims? So before we get into this, there's always going to be people that think, it's kind of like what ICE is doing right now. We're only detaining, we're only getting the ones that are illegal and violent, we're only getting the rapists out of here. And it's like, guys, your fucking book is as old as time. The people that have been paying attention, that have immersed themselves in this history, in this US playbook, know it's fucking caca, But, if everyone just had their needs met, I'm not saying, every time I go off onto this tangent I'm about to go off on, people are just like, oh, you're oversimplifying things, wait a fucking, and it's like, you guys aren't hearing me, all right? I believe, okay, that if most people will scrub toilets and flip burgers, they will pick up shit if you're paying them, you know what I mean? If they are receiving a wage that they can live off of and then some. Most people aren't aspiring to go fucking exploit everybody in their neighborhood or in their family or in their state or in their country. Most people don't want to hurt other people just so that they can have an excess, that they're enough that they could live like millionaires for 800 years. Most people aren't that fucking psychotic, you know what I mean? Most people just want enough to, have a vacation every summer, have Christmas presents under the tree, have food, have education. Most people are not, I don't need to repeat myself. So I don't believe that we would have, a bunch of fucking violent criminals and stuff if people weren't having to come up with ways to survive all the time, okay? And, my mom's a felon. My dad got deported, in 98. My mom's never been able to vote. I totally understand that, the way that the system is set up is to keep you fucking held down. They don't really rehabilitate anybody, it's not, they try to make it seem like, we're getting all the bad guys off the street, and it's like, no, you're moving the fucking goalpost. A lot of these crimes, do you guys know how many people are still in fucking jail and prison for fucking weed? That shit just blows my mind, you know? Or they're just stuck in there because they just don't have money, you know? They just don't have anyone that cares about them, you know? And that's a direct failure of our government, you know? Okay. The people must learn that when one offends the totalitarian state, it is patently not an offense against the people of that state, but an assault upon the privilege of the privileged few. Yeah. That's just like a smarter, simpler way of what I was just talking about. Could anything be more ridiculous than the language of the blatantly political indictments? Quote, the people of the state versus Angela Davis and Rochelle McGee, or quote, the people of the state versus Bobby Seale and Erica Huggins. What people? Clearly the hierarchy, the armed minority. We must educate the people in real causes of economic crimes. Yeah, who's doing the real economic crimes? Y'all know we got this big old fucking crazy Arctic tundra freeze coming in through Dallas, the whole Midwest. And why is it, like, the conspiracy theorists in me, which I believe we don't really have conspiracy theories anymore. Like, we have access to information and sources that can debunk all these things. But I've noticed a surge of those planes that you see in the sky, that a regular plane takes off and then it goes like this, right? I've been seeing them fucking soar like this, and they're just leaving those chemtrails. They're definitely trying to, that's a real fucking crime, okay? Manipulating the weather, poisoning the air, poisoning the fucking water. You know, those motherfuckers should be, under a large watermelon slicer. You know what I mean? That's right. Chemtrails. It's disgusting. You know? Okay. We must educate the people on the real causes of economic crimes. They must be made to realize that even crimes of passion are the psychosocial effects of an economic order that was decadent 100 years ago. All crime can be traced to objective socioeconomic conditions. So yes, a smarter, more simpler way of saying what I was just saying. Socially productive or counterproductive activity, in all cases, it is determined by the economic system, the method of economic organization. Official definitions of crime are simply attempts by the establishment to suppress the forces of progress. Prisoners must be reached and made to understand that they are victims of social injustice. This is my task, working from within. So he's working from within, so he's literally in prison right now, writing these letters to his brother. The sheer numbers of the prisoner class and the terms of their existence make them a mighty reservoir of revolutionary potential, working alone and from within a steel-enclosed society. There is very little that people like myself can do to awake the restrained potential revolutionary outside the walls. That is part of the task of the prison movement. The prison movement, the August 7th movement, and all similar efforts educate the people in the illegitimacy of establishment power and hint at the ultimate goal of revolutionary consciousness at every level of struggle. The goal is always the same: the creation of an infrastructure capable of fielding a people's army. So remember, the whole reason why I'm reading this book, you guys, is because I don't want to be a democratic influencer. I don't want to be a liberal influencer leading you guys into a fucking ditch. I keep saying this because I don't know how else to say it to where it will paint a little picture in your head. We cannot keep beating our heads against a wall. Like, oh, we're just going to vote better and harder next time. Anyone that's doing that, block them. Block them. You know, we should, the reading, the material, you know, the kind of content and chats that I want to have are people reclaiming their power. I want to help people think differently about political violence. I want to let people know that they're late. They're not mad enough. You should have already been taking, you know, we're in this position because we've polite fucking society. You know, it goes deeper than just like, you know, Red Scare propaganda. It's this whole white supremacy culture. You know, people are too fucking friendly and nice to be up in arms together. They much rather have us fighting cultural wars, race wars, gender wars, than realizing, hey, it's these motherfuckers, you know?